right, section G, resolutions by board members. Get there.
And last section wasn't an action item?
Section G, is that yours?
None of that was action item? Or we just-
No,
No.
this is a study session, no action items.
The Gateway Board of Directors asked for the business manager to advertise an RFP, request for proposal, as it relates to marketing and selling of Gateway Middle School property. The board is aware that a group has been previously approved at the April 18th, 2017 regular board meeting. However, for the sake of transparency, the board believes an RFP would allow for all interested companies to submit a proposal for the board to review. So moved.
Just for discussion, does anybody have any questions or comments they would like to ask Mr. Donald or Mr. McIntyre? This is
We're
your-
not voting on this tonight?
No, we're not voting on this tonight. This is
Okay.
a study session. We can discuss it tonight.
Okay.
Does anybody want to discuss?
I just
Nothing?
have a question. We have our intergovernment gathering at Gateway Middle School on the 27th. Our meeting's the 28th. Am I correct? I was hoping the 360 would be able to attend this in case there was any questions. So how does that stand for them? That them showing up if any questions, so that's just gonna be like put on hold then? Or, I mean, I think they're a major factor in this.
Well, I think we still continue with the process, meaning that they were approved at the April board meeting. The question comes in about the contract, which we will, of course, investigate and get back to all board members. Moving forward with the meeting next week, I feel we have to keep
I mean,
moving.
should they still, I feel, you know, with everything they have done, any questions that anybody might have from the public, they would be in a position to answer them, should they be there or not?
Mr. Dice?
I think they should be there. Until Rick's request is acted upon, they're acting under the guise of the contract that was
The good faith
executed.
rules, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, Steve? All right, thank you.
I want everybody to understand, you're putting them in a precarious situation, but that's life in the fast track. That's what everybody gets paid a lot of money for.
This could have been avoided if things had been done maybe more procedurally, accurately, more transparently a year ago. You know, if the contract had come before the board and got voted on, I don't think any of this is even a discussion at this point. But since we don't currently have an actual legal binding contract with them, I think we're not serving our community and the taxpayers and the people, you know, that voted for us if we don't look at all the options available. You know, this is like you've even said, Steve, like a 2-year-long process we're going through here at a minimum. I don't think there's any need to keep rushing or to feel like, you know, pumping the brakes, taking a step back and saying, hey, you know, we like 360. I like their presentation. I was very impressed. It's not about them not being qualified. It's about us having as many options on the table as possible before we make the decision that's going to be a $300-some-thousand contract.
Anybody? All right, so what's procedurally, Building and Grounds Committee didn't break anything procedurally because it's not required that they put this out to bid. But what Mr. McIntyre is saying is coming in as a new board member, he felt that it should be looked at by multiple people. So just to kind of explain what this conversation is about, is that, you know, the board, the Building and Grounds Committee recommended the 360 group. The contract was presented and signed off on. However, perhaps it wasn't board approved. We have to determine that through the minutes to see if the board actually voted on the actual contract. And if they didn't, what do we do? Do we vote yes on, it's up to the board, the majority of the board, to suspend that contract and talk to some other companies to make sure we've made the right decision, or the board votes no, they want to keep moving forward with the 360 group. So there's a couple of things that the board has to think about and talk about over the next week and weigh in your own minds, because Mr. Dice is correct. We already have a good faith agreement with a company, and we put them in a precarious position. And sometimes, as you've said in the past, it's hard to put the toothpaste back in the tube. But again, Mr. McIntyre also brings up some very good points. When we, chose this company 10 months ago, we didn't have a lot of interest. Now it's coming to the surface. There's a lot of people in the community discussing the sale of the property. And, is it fair for him to say, when you're selling a $10 to $20 million piece of property, could be the biggest decision the school board makes in the 4 years that you're in service here? Do you want to make sure that you've talked to all the players and that you're working with the best person? Absolutely. So, go ahead, Mr. Lepsovich.
I could see Mr. McIntyre's concerns on this, but like I said previously, a couple of weeks ago, if we start opening stuff that I wasn't happy with previous boards before I come on here, we could be here forever and not get anything done. No new business at all. And that's my main concern. Whatever decision they made, I was part of it, and there was 8 other people who was part of it, that they okayed this. Okay, I can't say okayed it, but they knew the 360 group was coming in. That's my only concern, because anymore we're talking about 360 group, but I'm not hearing anything about education anymore. That's what's disturbing me. So that's the only thing I have to say.
Well, part of this board's responsibility is to oversee the financial position of the school district and to make sure that we're a watchdog of the taxpayers' money.
Yeah, and
So-
I'm a taxpayer.
But it is part
As
of
well
our
as
job
anybody
to
else,
to
yeah.
do both.
Yeah.
So, we'll see. The board is a 9-member body, and 5 votes will control the decision. So I hope everybody, if they have any questions, that they will address those and think about those the next week. Number 2.